The Broken Pot. Once upon a time, in a quaint village surrounded by lush green fields, there lived a poor but hard-working farmer named Ramu. Ramu owned a small piece of land where he grew vegetables, and he also had a few pots which he used to carry water from the river to his fields. Every day, Ramu would walk to the river with his pots, fill them with water, and carry them back to water his crops. Ramu had two large pots, both attached to the ends of a long pole which he carried across his shoulders. One of the pots was perfectly made, without a single crack. The other pot, however, had a small crack in it. Every day, Ramu would fill both pots with water at the river, but by the time he reached his house, the cracked pot would only be half full. For a long time, Ramu used these pots without any complaint. He knew that the cracked pot was not able to carry as much water, but he did not mind. He appreciated the work it could do, despite its flaw. One day, while Ramu was filling the pots at the river, the cracked pot spoke to him in a sorrowful voice. "Ramu, I am so ashamed of myself," it said. "Because of my crack, you only get half the water you could. I feel like I am not good enough and that I have failed you." Ramu smiled kindly at the pot and said, "Why do you feel ashamed? Look around you and see the beauty you have helped create." As they walked back from the river, Ramu pointed to the path beside them. "Do you see these flowers on this side of the path? They are there because of you. Every day as we walk back from the river, you water the seeds that I planted along the way. These flowers have blossomed because of your help. Without your crack, this beauty would not exist." The cracked pot looked at the flowers, and for the first time, it noticed how vibrant and lovely they were. It realized that despite its flaw, it had been able to contribute to something beautiful. The cracked pot felt much better knowing that it had been able to help in its own way. From that day on, it no longer felt ashamed of its imperfection. Instead, it took pride in the flowers that grew along the path, knowing that it had played a crucial role in their growth. A few months later, the village decided to hold a grand festival to celebrate the harvest. Everyone was excited, and the villagers worked together to prepare for the event. Ramu was asked to bring some of his beautiful flowers to decorate the village square. Ramu used his two pots to collect water and carefully tended to the flowers. When the day of the festival arrived, the village square was filled with the colorful blooms from the path where the cracked pot had spilled water every day. During the festival, the villagers marveled at the beautiful flowers and asked Ramu how he had managed to grow such wonderful plants. Ramu smiled and told them the story of the cracked pot. "This pot may have a crack," he said, holding up the pot for everyone to see, "but it has taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes, our flaws and imperfections can lead to unexpected beauty and goodness. We all have our weaknesses, but we also have unique strengths that can make the world a better place." Among the crowd was an old potter named Suman, who had been making pots for many years. Suman was touched by Ramu's story and approached him after the festival. "Ramu, I have been a potter for a long time, and I know how much love and care you have given to your pots. I would like to make you a new pot, one that is strong and without cracks. But I also want to help you preserve the beauty that the cracked pot has created." Ramu was grateful and accepted Suman's offer. Together, they designed a new pot that had small holes on one side, allowing water to sprinkle out as Ramu walked, just like the cracked pot had done. With the new pot, Ramu continued to water his crops and the flowers along the path. The villagers, inspired by Ramu's story, also began to plant flowers along the roadsides and paths. The village became famous for its beautiful flower-lined streets, attracting visitors from far and wide. As the village prospered, Ramu's story of the cracked pot became a beloved tale, passed down through generations. It taught everyone that flaws and imperfections are not something to be ashamed of but rather something that can be embraced and celebrated. The cracked pot, which once felt useless and broken, had helped create a legacy of beauty and kindness that would last forever. And Ramu, with his new pot and the lessons he had learned, continued to care for his land and his community with love and gratitude. One year, the village faced a terrible drought. The river's water levels dropped significantly, and everyone worried about their crops and flowers. The villagers came together to discuss how they could save their plants and survive the drought. Remembering the story of the cracked pot, Ramu suggested that they should use every drop of water wisely and continue to water the flowers along the paths, as these flowers brought hope and happiness to everyone. The villagers agreed and worked together to build a system of irrigation channels to make the most of the limited water supply. They also collected rainwater and used it sparingly to ensure that both the crops and flowers received enough water to survive. Ramu's new pot, with its small holes, played a crucial role in this effort. It helped distribute water evenly along the paths, ensuring that the flowers continued to bloom despite the drought. One day, while digging a new irrigation channel, the villagers discovered an underground spring. The water from the spring was pure and plentiful, enough to provide for the entire village during the drought. The villagers were overjoyed and celebrated their discovery. They realized that their unity and perseverance had led them to this new source of water, just as Ramu's cracked pot had led to the beautiful flowers along the path. To celebrate their good fortune and the end of the drought, the villagers decided to hold another festival. This time, it was a festival of gratitude, to give thanks for the water, the flowers, and the lessons they had learned. Ramu was once again asked to share his story, and he spoke about the importance of working together, appreciating each other's strengths, and finding beauty in unexpected places. The story of the cracked pot, the drought, and the discovery of the spring became a part of the village's legacy. It was a reminder to everyone that challenges could be overcome with unity, perseverance, and a positive outlook. The village continued to thrive, with its beautiful flower-lined streets and its reputation for kindness and resilience. Visitors came from far and wide to see the flowers and hear the story of the cracked pot, which had brought so much beauty and wisdom to the village. As years passed, the story of the cracked pot continued to be a source of inspiration and wisdom for the villagers. But Ramu and his pots had more adventures awaiting them. The cracked pot, now embraced for its unique ability to water the pathside flowers, began to feel a new sense of purpose. One day, the cracked pot spoke to Ramu again. "Ramu, I have been thinking. While I am happy to water the flowers along the path, is there more I can do to help our village?" Ramu, always appreciative of the pot's contributions, thought for a moment. "You have already done so much, dear pot. But perhaps there are other ways you can bring joy and help to our village." One fine morning, a traveling merchant named Bala arrived in the village. He sold seeds of rare and exotic plants from distant lands. The villagers were fascinated and eager to buy seeds to plant in their gardens. Ramu was also intrigued and decided to buy some seeds. He thought about the cracked pot and its unique ability to water the pathside flowers. Perhaps these new seeds could be planted along the path as well. Bala, noticing Ramu's interest, gave him a small pouch of seeds as a gift. "These are special seeds," he said. "They grow into flowers that are not only beautiful but also have a lovely fragrance that can uplift anyone's mood." Ramu planted the seeds along the path where the cracked pot usually dripped water. He was excited to see what kind of flowers would grow from these special seeds. Every day, as he carried water from the river, the cracked pot watered the seeds. Days turned into weeks, and soon, small sprouts began to emerge from the soil. The cracked pot felt a sense of pride and joy seeing the tiny plants grow stronger each day. One morning, as Ramu walked along the path, he was greeted by a delightful sight. The special seeds had bloomed into the most beautiful and fragrant flowers he had ever seen. The air was filled with their sweet scent, and the entire path looked like a scene from a fairy tale. The villagers were amazed by the new flowers. They gathered around, admiring the colors and the wonderful fragrance. The path became a favorite spot for everyone to walk and relax, enjoying the beauty and the scent of the flowers. The cracked pot felt more valuable than ever. It had not only created beauty but also brought joy and relaxation to the villagers. Ramu realized that sometimes, the most unexpected things could bring the greatest happiness. One day, a young boy named Ravi came to Ramu, looking sad. "Ramu, I planted some seeds in my garden, but they are not growing as beautifully as these flowers. What should I do?" Ramu smiled and gently patted Ravi's shoulder. "Patience, my boy. Just like the cracked pot and these flowers, sometimes we have to wait and nurture what we plant. Keep watering your seeds and give them time. They will bloom when they are ready." The village elder, an old and wise woman named Meera, heard about the cracked pot's new achievement and decided to visit Ramu. She wanted to share some of her wisdom with him. "Ramu," she said, "your cracked pot has taught us all a valuable lesson. It shows that even with imperfections, we can still create something beautiful and meaningful. It also teaches us patience and the importance of nurturing what we care about." Ramu nodded, grateful for the elder's kind words. "Thank you, Meera. I have learned so much from my cracked pot. It has truly changed my perspective on life and the value of imperfections." Inspired by Ramu's story, the villagers began to look at their own lives differently. They started to appreciate their own flaws and the unique contributions they could make to the community. The village became a place where everyone supported and encouraged each other, celebrating both strengths and weaknesses. People began to plant flowers and trees all over the village, turning it into a beautiful and fragrant heaven. The cracked pot, once seen as imperfect, had sparked a transformation that made the village more united and harmonious. News of the village's transformation reached the ears of the king. He was curious to see the village that had become so famous for its beauty and unity. One day, the king decided to visit the village himself. The villagers were thrilled and prepared a grand welcome for the king. They decorated the village with flowers and garlands, creating a festive atmosphere. When the king arrived, He was amazed by the beauty of the village. He walked along the path lined with the fragrant flowers and was deeply impressed. He asked to meet the person responsible for such a transformation. Ramu and the cracked pot were brought before the king. The king listened to their story with great interest. He was moved by the tale of the cracked pot and its contribution to the village. "You have shown great wisdom and kindness," the king said to Ramu. "Your story is a reminder that even with imperfections, we can achieve great things. I am honored to visit such a wonderful village." To show his appreciation, the king decided to reward the village. He announced that he would build a grand park filled with exotic plants and flowers from all over the kingdom. He also promised to provide resources for better irrigation systems and education for the children. The villagers were overjoyed and grateful for the king's generosity. They knew that these new resources would help their village thrive even more. The construction of the grand park began soon after the king's visit. Ramu and the villagers worked together to plant a variety of exotic plants and flowers. The cracked pot continued to water the new plants, ensuring they grew strong and healthy. The park became a place of beauty and tranquility, attracting visitors from far and wide. It was a testament to the power of unity, patience, and the acceptance of imperfections. Years passed, and the village continued to prosper. The grand park became a symbol of the village's journey and the lessons they had learned from the cracked pot. Ramu, now an old man, looked back on his life with satisfaction. He had seen his village grow and transform into a place of beauty and harmony. The cracked pot, once a source of shame, had become a cherished part of the village's legacy. The story of the cracked pot was passed down through generations, teaching children the importance of patience, unity, and the acceptance of flaws. It became a beloved tale, told in homes, schools, and during village festivals. The cracked pot itself was kept in a special place in the grand park, surrounded by the beautiful flowers it had helped to grow. It was a symbol of hope and inspiration for everyone who saw it. One evening, as the sun set over the village, Ramu sat by the cracked pot, reflecting on his journey. He smiled, knowing that the lessons he had learned and shared would continue to inspire future generations. "Thank you, dear pot," he whispered. "You have taught me and our village so much. Your crack was not a flaw, but a gift. It has brought beauty, wisdom, and unity to our lives." And so, the story of the cracked pot from the Panchtantra reminds us all that imperfections can lead to unexpected beauty and goodness. It teaches us to appreciate our unique strengths and to find value in our flaws. By working together and embracing each other's differences, we can create something truly wonderful. The tale of Ramu and his cracked pot lived on, inspiring generations to come with its simple yet profound lesson, that even a broken pot can help make the world a more beautiful place. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more bedtime moral stories. Stay tuned.